Welcome back. There's some way to kill this. Nah, it's still kind of shiny. See if we can get it all the way up here. All right, so we've got this red rocket truck here that we're going to work on. We glued the tires. We did some pin washing on it. So it's going to have some weapons on it. We're going to paint those weapons. We're going to paint said weapons and get them ready to be installed on here. And then while we're doing that, we'll mess with the taillights and the headlamps and what have you on here. Okay? So this vehicle, I've got the build on my phone, so let me get my let me get a pen or a pencil. I could spell it out here of what this thing's going to have. Where the hell my mechanical pencil is? Well, let's see what the hell this is. What is this? Just a ballpoint pen. Okay. So it's going to be a truck. It's going to be a truck which is 15 points, has 3 build slots, crew of 3. It's going to have rockets. Rockets, for whatever reason, takes 2 slots. And we want to make sure that this thing is kind of rocket-like. So we're going to put a mortar on it as well. That takes 1 slot. Both of those are ammo-fed things. The rockets are 5. The mortar is 4. That's 9. That leaves 3 points. And we're going to end up putting a magnum on there as well for 3 points. So we'll be at the magic 27. I could make this the next category up, but honestly, it's just too small of a vehicle really to be in the same category as like a freaking bus or something like that. You know, that's the thing about the points is if you take a vehicle that the core cost of the vehicle is really low and you bump it up to like 35 points, it's going to be like loaded with everything. It's going to have like too many things on it, right? I want to build stuff that has some weaknesses, not like, oh, here comes that dune buggy that's 35 points and you've got, 3 perks and everybody in the dune buggy has a magnum and a turreted weapon. It's too much. So I like having the 27-point category and the 35-point category. The 27-point category, the reality is they'll be able to be used basically every time. I've got 4 or 5 35-point vehicles. I haven't used them once. Well, why haven't you used them yet? Well, they're like for team games, right? So the 27-point vehicles are more viable, so to speak. And you can always, add other things to this particular vehicle, like perks and stuff, not have to change how it looks at all, and make it a 35-point vehicle if you want to. But you got to start building the small one first. So what does this thing want to have? All right, so let's go with my parts depot here and see what we have. I know what rocket we're going to use, and it's going to have a mortar. The rocket is going to be rear facing, because if you put it here, I want one firing forward and one firing back. Now, what I could do is, because I believe in doing stuff like this, is I could take these little rockets, put them on there, and just say, hey, listen, it's really a mortar. Romanenko, welcome. How am I doing today? I'm doing great now that I'm not at work. How are you? I do great when I'm not at work. So I don't have a problem putting rockets on it, something that looks like rockets, and just treating it as a mortar. Because I can't put rockets in both places because, the powers to be decided that that rockets takes 2 build slots, and this vehicle only has 3. All right, I know I have another mortar in here. Here it is. And I've got, the question is, will it fit on here with this? Let's put this back. Let's put this back. Unfortunately, the one on the Barty bus is turreted. This one's not, and they both are the same miniature, and it wouldn't be turreted. The problem with it being turreted is now it triples the cost of it. What happened here? I don't know. Let's get the big old clippers. The clippers that can make short work of this resin. These are weapons from a game called Auto Kill, which I guess has been around a while. Now this isn't working out. Let's just work this, and we should be able to snap it off. I don't have a Dremel with. I don't have one of these little. I don't have a little hand saw. We're modifying die-cast vehicles for a combat game called Gaslands, a tabletop combat game. I didn't come up with a name of it. There's a lot of things I liked about the game, and a few things I don't. I don't really like the wording the world that it takes place in. But that's not really important. You can make up your own thing. Bimbo, we've got it. Okay, well, we broke the bottom, which probably isn't an issue, because we're going to have to modify this anyways to fit in here. This might not work at all, and the reason why is because you have this backblast here. It's going to blow out this window. Now, if I flip it this way, then you could put the rocket that fires like this. However, you got to put the mortar going the other way. So you'd have the mortar that fires backwards and a rocket that fires forwards. I guess you could do that. We just have to modify this to have it fit in the bed. How much would we have to take off of it? A lot. Of course, if you set it off like this, it knocks out the window. So maybe I do have to do it that way. Maybe I have to put the mortar backwards and the rocket forwards. All right, let's try modifying this. More? Okay. I've had this rocket for a long time, and it's really pretty cool. Still another little bit. Robelin Denapo, the stutterer. Why is your name doubled like that? Did somebody take your name and you had to put it in twice to? You see people that have, I don't know how YouTube handles work, but you see people like with email handles and stuff like that, and it's like, I want to use my name. Well, you can't. Somebody already took it. All right, well, I'll add random numbers behind it. Like, that would bug me. that would annoy me to have, my name, but with other numbers behind it. let's see how we're doing now. A little bit more. Yeah, this is just a little trial and error. This is going to look great when we're done. Okay, now we fit inside the bed, but the sides of these hubs are too big. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to, let's remove this. This resin's just a little bit creamy. And if you know what I'm talking about, well, then you know what I'm talking about. Like it doesn't chip away. It's better than that. It's got some flexibility to it. All right, so this fits okay side to side. It doesn't have to be. It can just sit up here and it'd be all right. I don't mind if there's a little bit of a gap there between it. What does this thing look like with the rocket on it? And obviously, the rocket can cast off now, and it's not going to. There's some hokiness to it. Like it has 3 ammo. Well, how are you going to reload that rocket? Don't worry about that. There's one hidden in here and one there. It's a hokey game. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about those details. Yeah, so we'll have to put one in the front, one in the back. I could just have them both face forward. I guess I could just do that. The alternative to doing a mortar, what else is 4 points? I don't think anything's 4 points. A minigun is 5. A minigun is 5, so then we don't have money. Then you wouldn't get a magnum. Then we just give them grenades or something like that. See if we got a minigun that would look all right. The Masked Bandits, welcome. What do we say? A minigun? All right, let's see if we can find a minigun that's not a monstrosity like this one. That would look deadly as hell. Marty might actually enjoy that a little too much. I like that big minigun for a bigger vehicle. I mean, I could use it. Miniguns come in all flavors. Kind of a minimalist one on the roof. Just too much of a modern. It's just too modern looking. This is like a city slicker redneck would have this. Yeah, these are too big. If I dial that down just a regular machine gun, still can only get 1 magnum out of it. James, welcome, man. Just playing with toy cars, just trying to figure out what we're going to put on this thing so that looks right. Could do this one. This is the one that's on Hassenpfeffer. It's turreted on Hassenpfeffer. And here we go. So that would be, you wouldn't get a Magnum then. I'm going to save this for a weapon that's turreted because it's round. Okay, so I'm going to save that for that. We're going to put the rocket here, and we'll put that minigun on it. Like a freaking Sager or something. That's what it looks like, even though Sager's not surface to air. Let me just go a little shorter on the back here. How about a trailer for the truck? Well, the trailers, first of all, I don't have any. Second of all, we can add it later. Third of all, it's in the game for a team called Rusty's Moonshiners or something like that, which is some, I guess, a British way of saying rednecks. You can always add it later. Now, this is Marty's truck. Marty's like, this is my truck. Okay. I ought to make it real shitty. So, oh, here's your shitty truck. No, we're not going to do that. I am debating how the hell I'm going to get this thing to stick on here. You know, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to separate this from the sides. And now you can stick it like that. Now you can stick it. What's your favorite vehicle? If you had to drive a truck, Joe, a vehicle, what would it be? What would the original body style of the vehicle you would drive? And we're not going to make you, but you know, there's only one of you. We don't need more than that. Ford Ranger. It's actually, you would drive a Ford Ranger? I want to hear your Ford Focus stories. Hoffman, you had a Ford Focus story. Did you see how my Focus turned out? It's freaking awesome. Every time I encounter one of those, they always want to race me, though. I don't know what it is, whether it's, you know, guys that drive those things have weenies that are a little small or something. I don't really know. I don't really know what the thing is. I don't race anybody, man. There's cops. I'm not giving the cop a freaking idea to write a freaking ticket. Yeah, so we're gonna glue this like this here in the back. That way, if we have a blowout, it's down there. And the question is, can I use any of this stuff? I bet I could probably use one of them. You wish you had a Ford Ranger. My mom had a Ford Focus, and we called it the Ford Fuckus. Was it a pizza crap or? Hey, it's a pizza crap. Let me shorten this up a little bit. You had a Taurus that we called the Battle Shaker because the thing shook violently if you went over 55. It sounds like you needed tires balanced or something. The Balancer. Yeah, I'm going to put one of these sides on here. And just like it's got some, I don't know, some control. It's a control unit for the launching mechanism. I don't know. Maybe it's the extra missile in the box or something. I don't know. The instructions are in the box to how to fire the thing. It's just a little too big. There we go. All right. And then we can put this beside it. It won't be perfectly centered. It'll be off a little bit, but you got this mechanism that's here. And then the rocket will be like that. And then on top, we're going to have a little minigun. The Battle Shaker. I had a friend of mine who had a car when I did not have a car. It took me a long time to have my first car. I was like the last person that I knew ever to have a car. But I was also the first person ever to move out. But anyhow, so this guy, we'll call him Mike. That's what his fucking name was, right? And he had a red Cavalier, a 1986. I believe it was a 1986 red Cavalier. This is about 1991. So 5 years old. Not really an old car, right? And I'd ride and it was like, there's this horrendous sound every time you hit the brakes. And you went outside, we looked out one time and he took his tire off the, hold on, I want to make sure I get the names of the parts correctly. The rotor, the rotor is the inside part of the wheel that has the flat spot where your brake pad hits against and with friction slows the vehicle down. Well, he hadn't replaced his brake pads. So instead of there being a brake pad that was hardly had any grippage left on it, it was literally a clamp. So, it was like a clamp at the top and a clamp at the bottom. So it was just basically braking on this spot and the other spot with no brake pad between it. And it had gouged a hole in the rotor or a trench in the rotor so deep that you could actually see through it in places and you could see some of the reinforcing things from the back side. Yeah, that would be bad. Got to do preventative maintenance on things, folks. Wish I'd make trucks at that size of Ranger again, but they passed some regulation and put the end to small trucks like that. Oh, the little Ranger? Yeah, the big Ranger's a lot bigger. That's back when trucks were cheaper than cars. You buy a car, it was like $15,000, and the equivalent, same brand little truck would be like 12, Now it's like, I don't think they make a truck that's less expensive than a car, than the equivalent. Like if you're talking like, Nissan, right? You got like an Altima and you got a Frontier truck. I think every version of the Frontier costs more than any Altima. That kind of thing. I think they still make the Frontier. Maybe they don't. All right, we're gonna glue this. We're gonna glue this joker down, and then we're gonna glue this down. And let's use the fast acting super glue. And let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. I don't know if they passed a regulation. They probably passed hey, people like buying trucks no matter how much they cost. All right, let's make them more expensive. Let's put more shit on them. I said the closest thing to a truck I've ever had is an Xterra, and I like the Xterra, but and it was used. I had all kinds of air conditioning issues. They never got the air conditioning right, so I drove it for like 4 years with no air conditioning, which sucks because I live in Florida and I also work in a place that they're pussies about putting the air conditioning on, so I'm always hot at work. So I was really happy driving that thing. Oh, I guess I could put it. I could put it sideways, couldn't I? Nah, it doesn't fit. All right, what's this thing look like this? Yeah, that looks good. Just having the mechanism on one side. Your first car was a Kia Sophia, and for some odd reason, I had to replace the alternator like 4 times on that thing. Yeah, quality control on those Koreans isn't very good. All right, this is going to need to be on a stickum thing. Okay, we're going to need to prime this black. We're also going to need to prime this black also. And might as well put the minigun as well. We'll prime all 3 of these things. It's a nice looking rocket. All right. So let's get the primer out. A brush that's not a work of art. That one will do. Nah, we need one shittier than that. Is that the worst car you ever had? A Kia Sophia? My first car, I had to replace an alternator, but not right off the bat, but only once. Yeah, that's the part that wears out. Okay. All your cars earlier. All my cars early were pretty bad. I had a white Civic we call the Road Sperm. Well, Civics are a pretty reliable vehicle. Did you get it used or something like that? A Civic is, I mean, it's a small car. Okay, whatever. It's a good car. I don't think anybody goes around saying, man, the Civic's a piece of shit. Maybe the Civics that they had in the 70s, but not, not from the 90s on. Those are good cars. I read one time that Honda engines are so good that they basically, the only reason that they're, somebody said the only reason that they're in the car business is to sell their engines. I've never had one unless you count the car that my daughter has as mine. She has a she has a little Civic. We're an all silver car family. All 3 of our cars are silver, which it's nothing for me. I'm the silver guy. So I saw somebody in a car forum said, "Yeah, silver is a terrible color." I'm like, "You're freaking weird, man. Silver is a great color." Red's a color I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of red. I'm not a fan of blue either. I mean, I like a blue, but I'm like, I don't want a car that's blue. You know, black is a great color too, but black shows scratches like crazy. Hey, can't stop for long. I know you got to go to bed. Transmission went out on it. Yeah. You probably had a lot of miles on it, didn't you? I don't know that I've owned a car that was trouble, other than the AC on that Xterra was just always a problem. You know, the problem is you needed to work on it. You needed to disconnect a whole bunch of other things. So, you know, the labor would just eat you alive. I think that a lot of people have problems with cars because they just don't do the proper maintenance on them. Like, I just got my oil change recently. I took it early. I took 400 miles early. I knew I wasn't going to get a chance to do it right at the time. So I took it 400 miles early. So what's the worst thing that can happen? Run it 400 miles longer next time, you know? I don't change my own oil because it's like where I dump the oil. It's a pain in the ass, you know? And I don't have a lift. Man, I wish I had a lift. Or a pit. Although a pit's kind of creepy. Uh-oh. This this wanky thing's about to fall off. Yep, and there it is. All right, we'll just the fuckery is thick today. Behold the fuckery. All right. We're done with that. Let's rinse that out. And let's get this stuff off of us. Yeah, you got to go to bed, man. It's like midnight or something like that over there. Close to midnight. We 5 hours apart or 4? Or did it turn into 6? All right, we're going to get a little bit of this primer. And we're going to paint the mirrors. Or at least put the base color black on it that we're going to do. Now, let's go over it. Let's fire up the computer and see what we need to do to the front, because the front like this isn't going to work. I'm here to paint headlights and tail lamps and all that kind of stuff. I'm all about that. Let's make sure we connect here. Your girlfriend left you today. Are you sad or is it a blessing? She finally got the hint. She left me. Might be a blessing. Yeah. Well, you know, you're not the first person to happen to. Okay, let's put the regular glasses on and let's go look at I believe it's a 2016 Colorado? 2015 Colorado. It's 12:30, okay? So we're 5 hours away. You have a 45-minute walk in the morning before work too. I'll probably leave the stream on in the background as a form of radio. Well, without the callers, unless you call Mitch again. We did do that one time, didn't we? Did you like that? How did I do that? I think I did it on the computer and I called him on my phone. Yeah. Just upload a picture of his feet and then he can be on the phone. I hope somebody wasn't being serious when they brought that up. I did not want this screen to come up. I did not have it. I don't need Streamlabs desktop. Let's pull up. Come on. We gotta wait for this stuff to dry anyways. Chevrolet. It's a French brand. Chevrolet. Colorado. Truck. 2015. Red. That's a 2021. I did not want a 2021. I want a 2015. Z71. This says Z71. Okay. So here's one for sale. Oh my God, it has 161,000 miles on a domestic vehicle. You got to be like out of your mind. I wouldn't buy anything with 161,000 miles. And I certainly wouldn't buy a domestic vehicle. Unless you pulled a Henry and did Mitch's voice yourself. I can't talk like Mitch, fortunately. Oh, I mean, I just can't talk like Mitch. No, I can't do Phil Henry. I wish I could do 2D, though. Okay, so here we have some details here. Like there's black around here on the top of this that's not on this miniature. There's black on the grab handle of the back that's not on here. Just little details you can add that are, realistic and don't cost anything. Let's start with the front. I like to start with the business end. Okay, so the business end is we've got a couple of fog lamps here. Okay, and this whole area is in black, and the headlamps, we're going to go ahead and do that. So let's pull the super readers on. And this area down here is already black. We're going to black out these lights because all they have is silver paint. We could do better than that. We can do better than silver paint on here. What I'm surprised is everybody that's played these games, and I've probably ran, I don't know, 8 of them. Nobody has said that they really disliked any of the cars. And that's good. Because that's not my intention to make a car that's a piece of crap. And then see if somebody gets it. That's not the intention. The intention is, get cars that you have to play different from each other. All right, so the top of this is black. The top of his is black. this is black down here. And then the handle is. And the bow tie is brass colored. And this is just a little decal. Your girl left me a week ago because she wanted childs. But now I can watch man with passion that makes him happy. I prefer that. Well, thank you. I'd rather you watch me than have a child with whoever that is. I'm a lot cheaper. You can watch me for free. Well, hopefully you guys get excited about this stuff. You know, it's not like, you know, I like to share my passion. Okay, the rear lamps have a little bit of black around them. What the fuck? Hey, I'm providing a service because of this. I mean, if the person's being honest, hey, I'm providing a service. I'm keeping them from being unwanted children. We don't need any more unwanted children. Can we all agree upon that? If you don't want kids, don't have any. Okay, so we're painting that, and we're going to leave a little bit of that black around the end. I'll have to remember those suggestions that you gave me. I think it was you. When the daughter comes back for Thanksgiving, have a chance to watch some violent movies. Okay, it looks like this is black over here on the inside of this. Yep. Yeah, there's all kinds of details on here. They just decided not to paint them. Okay, it's a lot better than the whole thing being completely black. Good movie. The daughter would be a cable guy if she's a Jim. She doesn't dislike him. She thought the Pet Detective thing was funny. You know, when I rewatched it, I don't rewatch movies generally, but I remember Pet Detective him being more of an idiot. Like he actually could, you know, he's not exactly like he's not Inspector Gadget or Mr. Magoo. Like he actually like solves stuff. You know, those characters that are like Mr. Magoo, they just bumble their way into like, you know, success or are annoying to watch. I did show my daughter White Bear a long time ago. She thought it was excellent. Everybody I've recommended that to really liked it, except you. That's okay. You can't like everything. I wonder what happened to that guy. might still be lurking. And the door handles, are they body colored? They are, okay. Then we're done here. We're done here with those colors. Which one did you not like? White Bear. Remember the Black Mirror episode, White Bear? It's the best. It's amazing. I've watched it 4 or 5 times. I thought you didn't rewatch things. Well, you know, it's short. I have to show it to people and watch along. All right. How are we looking on these things? Yeah, you're the only person that didn't like White Bear. That's okay. I'm the only person that doesn't like several things. I should probably watch them again. I'd say half of them are worth watching. I thought the other one that was pretty good was the one where they had committed a. Well, you haven't seen all of them, so if I spoil it for you, oh well. But there's these guys that broke in. I forget which season it is, but it was like a guy and a girl that break in and do these robberies, and I think they end up like shooting somebody. It's somewhere in Scotland or something like that. They end up shooting somebody, try to get away from it, and they don't get away from it because the baby saw everything. Somehow the baby is connected, like recording everything, and they let the kid live, and the baby recorded them. That's all I remember about it. But I'm a simple person. I'm watching these things. I don't try to read ahead. Like I saw that coming. I'm just enjoying them. You know, nobody's paying me to solve a crime. I'm just kind of just enjoying it as it happens. I'm not trying to like read ahead and like, you know, try to figure out who it is, and you know, I don't need to be that involved in it, you know. The other one I get mixed up with no, it's not Stranger Things. What's it called? What we were just talking about. Black Mirror is Love, Death, Robots, because they're similar. I mean, they're similar in that they're wacky like that. But the Love, Death, Robots with a baby Hitler one is great. That's a really good one. And I don't remember very many of them. I don't know that I've actually seen all of them. I've seen all of the Black Mirrors. No, we're still wet. So, hey, simmer down. Let's get some black out here. I submitted a very Black Mirror type short story about invasive ads to a magazine called Apex. Still waiting to hear if it was accepted or not. Who did you submit it to? That's a good name for a magazine, by the way. Apex. Sounds believable. It's a survival magazine named Apex. All right, I want to get a red that's not exactly the color as this red. This is too close. Okay, let's get one that has a little bit more orange in it. Escarlata. Yeah, this one. Like a sci-fi short story magazine they publish 3 or 4 times a year. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was about invasive ads to a magazine called Apex. I thought that was part of the short story. Okay. Well, War Games Soldiers and Strategy actually pays people to come up with articles. And I'm surprised how much they pay. In other words, it's a lot higher than I would have thought. But there's 2 things I don't like about that. Okay, because there's some I could do some articles. There's some stuff that I know that's kind of niche that I think would be cool. Um, but I don't like the fact that they can alter, once you submit to them, they can alter what you write in the way that they want to. So I already don't like that. Um, and I don't like the fact that if I submit something, I may have to wait a year for it to come out. And that would just drive me bananas. That would drive me bananas submitting something and they're like, all right, we're going to put it in. When? Oh, soon. And you're like, fuck, sitting at the edge of your seat, you know? That drive me crazy. Rather just not even submit anything to them. But I'm not a writer. I shouldn't be submitting stuff to anybody. And I certainly don't like, I don't mind explaining things on the show multiple times. People ask me the same stuff, but I don't want to write something. Like somebody says, hey, can you write what process you use to do something? I'm like, no, because if you're too lazy to watch my show and point, I can't watch that for more than 10 minutes. I said, okay, well then, what's to say that you're too lazy to read an article? I've seen the bulletin board. The same shit gets asked over and over and over again. And writing is not my therapy. It's my anti-therapy, especially if it's to people that aren't listening to you. I know you like using Chat GPT a lot. Did you ever use Chat GPT to write a card to your girlfriend? You better say you didn't. Oh, that would be so wrong. Man, Chat GPT's got to be making doing school papers so much better. Only because it can get you out of like a problem when you can't think of something, right? Like just unclog your brain. They can't stand the way ChatGPT writes. I can usually pick out anyone using it. Yeah, I don't like to write, but in college, I love to take notes. So I'm a really good note taker. But I don't write in complete sentences. I use little bullet symbols and, indent things so that it makes, but not like, and then he said this, oh crap, that's too many I's. Mix it up, that kind of crap. Well, I thought the Chat GPT would be really handy to name some of these vehicles, and it hasn't been. At the end of the day, I don't think that it's named one of them. I think it gave me ideas so that it helped me like figure out so I could name one of them, but I don't think it's named a single vehicle. I could be wrong. I have to go through there. All right, so we got the little rear headlamps. The front headlamps on here, that same style of seems to be really prevalent. So it's like you got a bulb in there, but then you've got the whole big thing as well. So we're gonna make a gray mix here and do that. Put the whole headlamp in a color like this, like a dark gray. Yeah, the short story about the invasive ads, and I have to put more serious story about poverty and drugs in Texas. Those don't get published. I might be a little let down. Well, if you're poor, how do you have money for drugs? I know people always find money for that. People always have money for cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, tattoos, lottery tickets, even if you're poor. All right, let's go and see if we can find the front of this thing again to see if it's got any blinkers. What am I looking at? Yeah, it's kind of hidden down there. We can work with that. You ever wonder if like somebody takes your story and runs with it and then claims it as being theirs? I've actually thought that's actually a big reason why I don't paint for people. What if I painted for somebody and then they said, "Oh, well," somebody out there says, "Yeah," I ask them, "Hey, that's pretty cool. Did you paint that?" And they go, "Yeah." Like, you know, you put a listening device in there, go down there and go slap somebody that does that. Because some people are just compulsive fucking liars. And I'll tell you a story about it. It happened a while ago, but this is the one that just kind of reminded me of it. There was this guy that was a truck driver, and he came frequently to my place of work. And I was talking to him one time, and I noticed something that he had around his neck, and he had like a Spanish coin that was on a pendant that had like some dolphins around it, right? So you had like a real with obviously it needed to have some kind of a frame for it to be able to put a loop on it or whatever, and then dangle it. And it had some dolphins on it. I said, "Man, that's pretty cool. That's that Spanish." And he said, "Yeah, I was out scuba diving or diving, and we were just kind of diving, and we saw this place where these dolphins were just kind of going around in a circle, and we went down, and we saw there was like there was some there was parts from a sunken ship or whatever, and we decided to keep one of the coins and make it into a pendant, and we put dolphins around us to remind us." That's a pretty cool story. And a couple of weeks ago later, I go to St. Augustine, and they're selling these things by the bushel load. They're just fake things. I'm like, why would you make something like that up? I mean, what kind of a piece of shit does things like that? You know? I'm sure he's told that load of crap story to many people. You're not too worried about someone stealing my stories. They could, but most writers have huge egos and think their stuff is the best. Oh, is that right? Is your stuff the best? I'm not most writers. Okay. You know, Speaking of movies, most movies, and I've said this before, most movies that are bad are usually bad because of the writing, not necessarily the acting. Now, there's exceptions to the rule. Some of them have both. Hallmark movies, and some actors are just terrible. I think some actors are just terrible. I'm not going to mention anybody because it might be your favorite actor or actress. People are really possessive about their favorite actors or actresses. And I think it's because you watch them at home and somehow you think that they're part of your family or something. I don't. I think they're part of Hollyweird. But I read this short story in college called A Very Old Man with Enormous Wings. It was a very weird story about this angelic light creature that lands in this decrepit village. Was it really an old man? Story in college. I had a couple of things that really, there's a couple of things that freaked me out as a kid. And I'm talking about a kid, I'm talking like 10 years old, right? 9, 10 years old. Um, and I'll tell you about them. They're all in elementary school, either fourth grade or fifth grade, kicking it like it's 1980. The first one we had was this. We had this little part of the homeroom in fourth grade where they had these tape recorders. Most people like what I write. I really had no plan to publish anything I wrote, but I had a professor that convinced me to do it. Um, I take it that's a professor you liked. I had one professor in college that if I ran into him, I'd give him a big hug. He's fucking awesome. That dude, that dude knows how to teach, or at least he knows how to teach me. His teaching style is so freaking perb. Somebody says, "Who's your favorite teacher?" That dude. That dude. I actually know where he lives. So you've been stalking him? No, I'm not that kind of person. But if I ran into him, I'm not going to go seek him out. But I wish him well. He's retired, and Um, he's one of those guys that he taught in front of the class and he'd look at everybody's feet. He'd pace back and forth. I mean, he was kind of nerdy, but he had a lot of energy. He wasn't like, low energy nerd. But then when you asked him a question, he looked at you directly. So he wasn't like, full on off, right? Um, but the guy was really, really good. The guy's really good. But anyways, in fourth, I suffer from skin condition called phimosis. Well, everybody has something. I have a skin condition too, but it's solved by injecting myself with something. And no, it's not heroin. And it's basically eliminated it. It's freaking incredible. But, phimosis. I hope you're doing okay. Let's see what it looks like, how bad it is. Is it bad? And then I'll tell you what I think the worst thing about a skin condition is. Now, being truthful, phimosis. Could you elucidate the viewers? I would if I know what the fuck elucidate is. Come on, man. You're making me sound stupid. I'm not an English major, though. We could talk about maps and flags, and we can put you in your place. Phimosis. Oh, that's nice. Sounds like you need to go take care of that. oh, oh, man. So fourth grade, okay? Fourth grade, there was this little listening center in the corner where they had like tapes. And they had tapes where, you'd have your little, and I don't remember how you could, I think there were certain times where people could go and do different things, right? It wasn't necessarily like structure. There was an area. I mean, I didn't go to Montessori school or anything like that, but there was times you could go like during your free time and go and listen to stuff. And one of these tapes, that's where I discovered Edgar Allan Poe. Okay, they had this short story. I think they had several of them, but they had one of them that was Mask of the Red Death. And you just put it on, you listen to it, and there was background sounds and stuff like that. And that was really freaking creepy. But that's when I'm like, I don't really like English literature except this guy. This guy's interesting. Because even people that don't like English literature, they almost always, especially dudes, everybody likes Edgar Allan Poe just because it's different, you know? Um, And there's probably better stuff now, but I'm just talking about, classic, you know, stuff. Um, yeah, so that kind of freaked me out. Um, the other thing that freaked me out was this story. Um, Back in 1980 and 80 or 81, one of those 2 years, I had a homeroom fifth grade teacher who was cool. He was a male teacher. He's one of the few teachers I ever had that was male in grade school. Elementary school teacher. That's the only elementary school teacher I ever had that was male. And he was, I think he was young. I think he must have been in his mid 20s, maybe late 20s at the most. But he was a young teacher, and and he just had a different persona about him. And one of the things he liked to do is tell ghost stories, or what I would call ghost stories. And he told this ghost story. I don't remember all the details. I'm just going to skip it. It's probably one you've heard. It's probably been told in a lot of different ways. So I'm going to give you kind of the plot, the major players, and the end. And you'll probably recognize it as something. Oh, that's such and such. I'm like 10 years old, right? I don't watch horror. I'm not allowed to watch horror stuff. You know, I'm not allowed to stay up late and shit like that, right? So it was a story basically of some village, and I may get some of the details wrong because I mean it's been, we'll see, how old am I? It's been 40 years, more than 40 years since I remember. But anyways, some village, and this guy is the mayor or whatever, and there's crime starts happening all of a sudden, and people are getting murdered, and they can't find who the person is. And eventually, they find out that the culprit ends up being the mayor's mom, who's wheelchair bound, and because somebody like this creature would come in and like would attack people, and somebody like did some finally grew some huevos and like lopped its arms off, and the mother is in a shawl, and he uncovers it and finds out that there's all this blood, and the mother had the mother in the wheelchair had bled out or whatever. And I was like freaked out because again, it's kind of like the stories that we were talking about, the ones that you recommended. As a kid, you expect adults to be responsible and people that you look up to. I mean, unless they're like a Nazi or a communist or something like that. I'm just talking about normal people. Adults are like people that you don't expect them to be criminals or max murderers or things like that. And as a kid, when you encounter situations when adults cannot be trusted or are turncoats or are just plain evil, it really fucks with your psyche. Not fucks with you that you can't function, but just like like the stories that you mentioned, like the one with the alien or whatever, whatever it was called, that short story. It really kind of like, who can I trust if you can't trust your own your responsible adult. So I remember that. It's probably, that's probably something 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 something. I doubt he invented it. Um, and then there was one other thing. What was the other thing that was really, everyone likes M.R. James when it comes to ghost stories. Never been good at telling stories and always envied people who could tell a good story. I'm not good at it either. Um, I do read okay because I can do voices and enunciate things. And like, if you give me the book, I can read it okay. But I always misremember things. Um, this isn't a good example, but just in general. And then in middle school, I had to watch that little short film in black and white called The Lottery. Man, and everybody who's seen that is like, again, it's fucked up. Is there anything like, if you watched it now, you'd be like, huh. And I think I actually saw it recently. I mean, in the last 10 years, I've been like, what's the big deal about it? But when you're a kid, you're not expecting, people to turn on you, you know? When you're not being like a terrorist or a Nazi or something like that, like just people turn on you. These headlamps are not the same shape. I painted them all the way to the edge, and one is longer than the other one. That one goes farther out than that one does. Well, We'll do our best. M.R. James. I've never heard of M.R. James. I don't like listening to scary shit because it just puts fucking ideas in your head that I don't believe in, you know? All right, so we're going to do a little semicircle thing here. We need more substance to this gray. Sometimes you can thin it too much and there's not enough pigment to go around. So we're just painting like there's a bulb in there. I never heard of M.R. James, but I'm the wrong person to ask about authors. I could definitely say that I don't think I ever enjoyed reading anything that was assigned to me in school. And it's not because I don't like to read. I just don't want to read that. And there's lots of times where I just flat out didn't read what was assigned. I didn't care what I got in school. I didn't start doing well in school until college. You know, like even high school, I did okay in high school, but middle school, I didn't give a fuck. It's just like you got to read this. I'm like, I'm not reading it. I'm not reading freaking Oliver Twist or any of that stuff. I'm not reading Grapes of Wrath. Even the most modern thing they assigned, I don't know how modern it is, but Lord of the Flies. I didn't read Lord of the Flies. I don't want to read it. I don't want to read it. I'm not bad at reading. I'm just like I want to read the stuff that I want to read. So all those stories of classic Americana, I never read them. Little headlamps there. Got the thing on the back. Let's see if these things are. I'm going to take. I'm going to go take a bathroom break. I mean, I just got to go pee and get a soda, and I'll be right back in a moment. Right back. Actually, I could probably use Chat GPT to come up with, I bet that what all the stuff I described, then I could find out what story it is. Yeah, probably just out of, just out of curiosity. I doubt it was made up. I mean, maybe some of the stuff was made up. I bet some of the stuff was made up. I bet I wouldn't even need Chat GPT for it. I bet my Google Foo would work. So let's see. Horror story with mother in wheelchair that is the murderer. How do you spell shawl? SHAWL. Murderer shawl. The horror thriller run 2020. Well, it wasn't in 2020. This is 1981. I bet that's part of something else. I bet it was part of something else. Anyways, just out of curiosity. No, I don't like horror shit at all. I don't like horror shit. I have a problem with things with masks. I have creepy masks, especially if they have horns, especially if they look like goats. Like, no. Mm-mm. Nope. You don't have to believe. You don't have to believe in the devil to be scared by shit that looks like that. Like, nope. Like that Krampus thing that they do in Germany. Yeah, that wouldn't fly here. Nope. Nope. They'd be hanging. There'd be some goat mask that'd be hanging from a fucking wall somewhere, like a trophy. Okay, so this thing's pretty much ready to go. We got to decide how much of the base color we're going to have on these pieces. Now, just like we wanted to get this scarlet that has a little bit of orange in it, now we want to get a red that doesn't have any orange in it, that looks kind of like this, or at least close to it. I've got two to start from. One of them is called red, vermelon, and the other one is called flat red. Now, I think it's this one. Now, this also has a brown wash on it, so, and it doesn't have to be a perfect match for it either. Okay, so on the minigun, for instance, I want the barrel of it to be metal, but I want some of these things that tie in to be the same color as or at least attempt to be the same color of the truck. It helps fit a little bit better for what I like. So we're going to put some of this red here. And we don't have to grab one that's super small. Oh, this is dangerous. Having a soda here over on the right-hand side of me, it's a good way to get it knocked down. Oh, I guess I had the right ones on. Pay attention, Tony. All right. So we're gonna mix us some of this color with black to do the shadows. All right, and on the minigun, for instance, this little bit that's underneath it, it'll be in this reddish color. And down here, we don't care about the barrels. The barrels are going to be gunmetal. And I'm going to go ahead and do the body of this also in red. Okay, using the same color, we're going to come over here to the mechanism that fires this rocket. And we're going to paint it all this dark gray, this dark red. We may pick some of this stuff out. Right now, we're going to have all this dark gray, and we'll bring it up appropriately. Okay. And the rocket. So the rocket mount is going to be red. The rocket itself is not, so it stands out. I'm just going to go ahead and paint all of this in this tone. Well, this is in the way. There we go. The Red Rocketeer. All right, well, that one's drying. We'll go to the first one that we painted, and we're going to bring this up with a little bit more red to it. You ever written short stories for somebody, and then they didn't like them? Oh, that's gotta suck. That's never a problem for me. I don't write stuff. You know, like the people that are musicians, oh, write me a song. And then you write them a song and then hate it. Like, thanks. I learned all those chords for nothing, bitch. Feel if I painted something for somebody, they didn't like it. That's actually never happened to me. I've never painted something for somebody and they didn't like how it turned out. I may not have liked it, but I mean, people that cook, that probably happens to them all the time. Oh, cook something for me. I hate this. Oh man, well, I ain't shit for you again. I'll take problems I don't have for 1,000, please. I can honestly say I've never cooked anything for anybody. I don't cook things for myself. I ain't got time for that. We're doing this. Never cooked for myself, never went hungry. I do build a fire truck. And the fire truck, of course, is a flamethrower. That would be stupid not to do that. You know, the irony. All right, I'm going to try to remove this thing carefully. And then we're going to set it on top and see how we're doing color-wise. Okay, well, we still need to bring it up. But you can see that's, we want it to all kind of blend together. Now, let me remove this carefully. Put it up here, and now we've got a gun that matches. Obviously, the barrels aren't painted yet, but that's what we want to see. Something that looks like it's part of the big thing, not just some random, like, I just painted all gunmetal. Have it show some ownership. All right, same thing with this accessory to the rocket launcher back here in the back. Whatever it might be. You know, if my workload wasn't so insane, I probably would have already filmed a a game already at Gaslands. We're getting there. We're getting pretty ready with every time we play, it goes a little better. It's gone fine either way, but you know, you find out you did something different, something you weren't supposed to. A couple weeks, we'll be introducing a new player to it again, so we'll see how it goes. Got no plans to run games of it at a convention. You know, I'm not going to have random people touch my stuff. You know, and so many people out there just aren't any fun to play games with. They just aren't. They're like, they got to win no matter what. I'm like, you know, there's other people trying to win. It's all about telling the narrative. What narrative happened? What narrative did you create while you were playing this game? I think this is just grimy enough to look believable. Let me pull something up here. Let's delete that. Let's go here. Oh, I've got a lot of other comments that don't show up here. I have a lot of other comments down there that I didn't see it. Yeah, I haven't seen any comments since 8:05. Okay, well, let me read these. I'm glad I pulled up the computer. I read a bunch of random books. When I was young, one read was about this creature who lived or came from the Stonehenge, and the cover was always freaky to me. I think it was called the Doomstone. That would be pretty creepy. That would be pretty creepy. I want to read The Grapes of Wrath. It's the kind of story I like to write where the fictional character drama takes place around a real historical backdrop. In the middle of chaos, there lies opportunity. What's up, Justin? Sorry I didn't see you come in, but this thing's frozen. It's frozen. Yeah, it's stuck there. So sorry about that. A Canadian apology. Sorry about that. You must know what those are. They're just around the corner from you. Yeah, that was weird. Oh, this needs to be on live chat. What am I missing? I hate when this thing misbehaves like that. Well, now I don't see those comments. All right. Why can't I access the bottom of this? Okay, I'll leave it there and hopefully the new ones will appear there. So, all right. Now I'm over here painting and like, what's going on, man? There's like no comments all of a sudden. And I'm missing the few that come up there. All right, back to this vermilion color. Vermelon. Sounds like a French watermelon. Vermelon. All right, so let's make sure this isn't too drastic. Start filling in. It's like fire engine red. By the way, this little piece that's here is going to go in here. It's going to be next to the launcher. So it's going to look something like this. And these shiny wheels, they're not going to be shiny by the time we're done with them. So when I first looked reading these rules, I'm like, so some of these vehicles only have like ammo, like 3 ammo. Like, how are you going to survive a whole battle with 3 ammo? Well, a lot of vehicles die before ever firing their guns. So, there's that. As a matter of fact, that happens frequently. If you play in a death race, frequently none of the vehicles make it to the first gate. So I'd say the game is just as much about driving as it is about combat. You got to be a good driver. You're going to use that every time. Sometimes you're just dealt a bad hand, there's nothing you can do. Yeah, see, I can't even. It's stuck here. Yeah. I wonder what this is. Oh, now I fucking see it. I had it on the wrong thing. Okay, well, one of these days I'll learn how to do this. I'm just a stupid, well, I'm not a stupid painter. I'm good at painting. I'm a stupid videographer. They just hide these controls in places where it shouldn't be. Like, the idea that I could add like a green screen, but yet I can't reverse the video, so it doesn't show it as a mirror image is annoying. All right, let's keep bringing that up. Yeah, Justin's already said has already gotten snow. I don't know if that's really early. It seems pretty early. But what do I know? I know there's just kind of a misconception with snow. You just figure, oh, well, it's under freezing. Why didn't it snow? It's like just saying, like, oh, it's warm. Why didn't it rain? It's the same thing. It's just, as someone who doesn't know about that, that's my first inclination. Like, I don't understand why it didn't snow. It's 20 degrees. Some concepts are harder to understand than others. I remember being a kid, and you go to the grocery store, and there's this box. It was always on the bottom shelf called rock salt. And rock salt, it was this picture of an ice cream cone. And I couldn't figure out what something that was salty had anything to do with ice cream. Like, it didn't make any sense at all to me, I'm like 9, 10 years old. Never put two and two together. Salty ass ice cream. So a little piece of this stick up here temporarily. Kind of visualize how this is going to all going to look something like this. Obviously it's going to be weathered. Obviously it's going to be weathered, so it'll look better. And no, the rocket's not going to be black. Did I bring another one of these? Well, this is the second one. Nope. Yep, I'm a Coke head. Coke Zero head. All right, we need to do more of the colorations on here. There we go. Now, it's going to look the right color. Now the question is making the rocket, painting the rocket. It really can be whatever the color I want it to be. Really doesn't matter a whole lot. Because, I mean, after that, we do the weathering. You know, we do the weathering after that. I wanted to say it needs to be a light color. And the fin's a different color than that. Let me do a quick image search for cartoon rocket. I want a cartoon rocket. I want to look goofy, but well, this a rocket ship has red wingtips. I don't want the wingtips being red. That needs to stand out away from that. Wow, this is not a very useful search. Blues would be all right. Blues would be all right as long as they're not like too dark. I don't want anything that's too dark. Yeah, I'm gonna need to think about that. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off, folks. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys on the next one.